Welcome to the Business Insider Podcast, where we interview the top business leaders in their respective industries. Today, I'm excited to introduce a special VIP guest. We've got AJ Wilcox here. He is the founder of B2 Linked, and they specialize in managing and getting the most performance out of any LinkedIn advertising budget. AJ, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, man.
Hey, Riley, I'm super stoked. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure. As you know, I've got a bunch of questions lined up for you, and I'm sure our audience is wondering specifically what you guys do and really what the major outcomes are for your clients that work with you. So before the podcast, you would give me like a brief rundown on what that looked like. If you wouldn't mind reiterating that to the audience, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, you bet. So over 10 years ago, I had experience running LinkedIn's largest spending ads account. And I went, wow, this is incredible. There's all of this performance I'm seeing that I haven't heard anyone else talking about LinkedIn ads. So 10 years ago, I started this agency. We're an ad agency 100% dedicated to running and managing and training and teaching about everything LinkedIn ads. It's an incredible platform specifically for business to business, but there are some business to consumer targeting uses as well. But what we're really good at, like if you have any experience with LinkedIn ads, it kind of feels like the platform's gouging you. They're trying to steal money from you. What we're really good at, we understand how the auction platform works and how to minimize costs to get the very most performance.
Makes perfect sense, man. So if you had to define your superpower or the unique skill or insight that really sets you guys apart in your space, what would it be and how does it shape your success?
It's not much of a superpower, but it's the experience of having been 100% dedicated to LinkedIn ads for like 14 years. This is the stuff I live and breathe and just can't get enough of it. And so there's every aspect of the ad platform is something that I'm deeply thinking deeply about all the time. That didn't come out great, but
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But then our staff, like all of my employees that help, we get to focus just on a single ad platform. And so I get to train them really, really deeply and get awesome performance and learning out of them as well.
That's awesome, man. So, I mean, I'm curious, AJ, what inspired you to pursue this current path? I mean, how did you get here?
It's funny. It was not a traditional path by any means. Like I said, I worked at a company where I grew their LinkedIn ads account from, spending $2,000 a month to the largest spending account in the world at the time.
Wow.
And I actually ended up getting laid off from that company. And, my background, I never considered anything entrepreneurial. My dad worked at the same bank for like all of his career. And so that was like this super conservative outlook that I had kind of going into things. And so what happened is I ended up like looking for jobs. I had to go home and tell my wife that with 3 kids and one on the way that I didn't have a job anymore. And I started looking for jobs. And I know this isn't a religious podcast, but every opportunity I prayed about. And I got a very distinctive answer back as I prayed about like these 4 job opportunities that I got, saying like, should I take this? And I got very direct answers saying, no, turn it down. And then finally, after turning down 4 of these positions that I thought were great, out of desperation, I was kind of like, all right, what about this idea I've had of starting like a LinkedIn ads agency or consulting? And the answer I got was like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Love that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it's super fascinating how once again, I'm definitely not going to speak on, my religious tendencies or anything like that. But what I will say is that God works in mysterious ways. I mean, I feel like in my everyday life, there's always like weird things that happen where he or something out there is giving you like guidance. It's like, lets you know if you're on the right path or not. I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
So how powerful has networking been for your success, and how have you used it as a tool to build your business?
This is an amazing question because, when I very first started the company, I didn't know how to run a company, and I only knew how to run LinkedIn ads. That was like the experience of my life. And also, like, here's a dirty little secret. We're an ad agency, but we don't spend any money on advertising ourselves.
Right.
When I very first started, I decided I was going to go all in on networking. And so I went out and joined several like local networking groups here in Utah. I pitched to speak at any conference who would have me, spoke at every event, was a guest on any podcast that would invite. All of those things were ways that I was like, hey, I'm not a good sales guy, but I can at least get the word out to audiences who were kind of already built for me. And that was like probably the first couple years of the business. All of the leads that we generated, all the clients that we worked with, they were generated from this kind of networking activity, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, networking. I mean, I credit 99% of my success so far in my young entrepreneurial career to networking. Like, I would not be where I'm at. And thanks to like my mentors as well, like most of the people I'm working with on a daily basis are like 15 to 20 years older than me. So it's like, I definitely fully agree. It's amazing how important it is. So, kind of moving on to a new topic now. AI, that's kind of the lowest hanging fruit right now. Everybody's talking about it. How is AI impacting your industry, and are you guys utilizing it? And if so, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've tried to use AI in about every way I can potentially think of. LinkedIn themselves have injected AI into several aspects of the ad platform because LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft, who owns a huge stake in OpenAI. So we're seeing lots of chat GPT elements in there. When you go to write an ad, for instance, it's going to be like, hey, do you want us to come up with some variations of ad copy for you? That's cool. There's even an element there, they call it LinkedIn Accelerate, and you give it a landing page of your website, and then it uses AI to be like, okay, what audiences should we target? What imagery should we use? What ad copy should we use? And it really just takes it off of your plate. I wouldn't run that. I want a little bit more control,
Yeah.
strategic control over what we're saying and to whom. But that's what LinkedIn's trying to do. Us personally, we've tried using AI for things like writing our ad copy, for analyzing the data from client reports to summarize. And I end up using a lot of AI tools for things like creating my podcast. I run the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast.
That's
So
awesome.
lots of AI tools for that. But honestly, like it hasn't been great at analyzing data. And I figure it's a large language model, not a large numbers model, but I expect it's going to get better in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's such a fascinating topic. It's always moving too. Like every day there's a new agent popping out. So what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to face in your life to this point? How did you overcome it? And what is one lesson that you learned from that experience?
I think the biggest challenge I've faced in business specifically is, during the pandemic, we got hit pretty hard. Like the first day of the pandemic, it was like the first week where they started going crazy on the news talking about how everything was shutting down. We
Yeah.
lost 40% of our clients like in that week, which was crazy. And then, in 2023, we ended up running a deficit pretty significantly for the whole year until finally at the end of the year, I had to be like, all right, sorry, I've got to make cuts. And I ended up having to cut about half the team and take over a lot of their responsibilities myself. So how I handled it, you just, with everything, you love the company, you want the company to keep going. And so you just keep showing up to work every day, making the very best decisions you can and be strong. I'm pretty sure I cried more than all the people who got laid off. So I took it hard, but yeah, that's really, really my approach. Like take every day, one day at a time, and just do what you got to do that day.
So where do you think your industry's going over the next 5 to 10 years? What are you kind of seeing?
I am roped to the LinkedIn ads platform very heavily. And so really wherever they go is really where I go. If LinkedIn ads were to shut down tomorrow, that's a whole different conversation of like what I would do. But the way I see LinkedIn going is they know that they are charging a premium for the interactions on their ads. And in order to show their customers that that is money worth investing, they're really beefing up the measurement side of things. So incorporating a lot of integrations into your CRM so that you can see what's the effect of this paid traffic. Are they turning into closed deals? How many interactions are we getting from each company? How much are we spending on them? So I expect in the next 5 years that we're going to keep seeing more and more tools letting us know what's working and what's not. I also know that B2B marketing in general continues to evolve. And user preferences continue to evolve. So, for instance, like in the last couple years, I've noticed that a style of video ad, it's this talking head where you're just sharing, say, Riley, it's you just talking into your phone, giving a quick tip, a trick, a
Yeah, yeah.
strategy, something like that with big animated captions. That's by far the highest performing ad format, but I don't expect that that's going to be the highest performing ad format 5 years from now. So
Right.
watching how consumer behavior changes and adapt.
So, in your experience, what do you feel like is the biggest problem in your industry, and what are you guys doing to solve for that?
I think in B2B, everyone that we talk to wants meetings with their sales team. That's the goal of why they start advertising. But we also know that if you go to a cold audience who's never heard of you before and you show them an ad that says, "Hey, let's hop on a call. You can talk to our sales rep," or "buy something now," you're going to hear crickets. Like it's not the approach that anyone is ready for. So if we know that's the outcome that we want, but we need several steps in between before we ask for that, I think the biggest challenge is, okay, how do we take cold traffic and nurture them, educate them, give them helpful information until they are ready to consider us? And I think that's the biggest challenge that most in B2B marketing are facing is
Yeah.
how do we make that process happen the most efficiently possible?
It seems like we've kind of reached a point where the consumers have just been sold so many times, so many different ways by so many different people as social media keeps exploding. Like even like when I talk to people that aren't in the business world, they're just regular people. When they talk about social media, they're like always complaining. I get ads literally all day long, every day. And it's just becoming a harder and harder world for businesses. Like when social media first really blew up and it was kind of like still kind of a newer thing, or when Reels kind of came out to be a thing, it was so much easier. Now that that's all kind of solidified, it's like every business is out there trying to pitch their stuff. So it's super hard to break through the noise. So that's really good that you guys have like a dialed in process of how to do that.
Yeah, we've built over time and it's gone through lots of iterations. We now do a 3-stage funnel of give before you ask. And
Yeah.
it seems to be working really well right now. But I think it's totally because of what you said. We've all been burned by a skeezy sales rep putting too much pressure on us. And now we're reticent to hop on a call with someone until we really know
Yeah,
like and trust them.
for sure. Now, AJ, now that we've talked shop for a while, I've got this game I like to play with all my guests called the Lightning Round. So I never tell them about this before the podcast, but my audience loves kind of seeing the business owner outside the business. So I'm going to ask you 10 quick questions, and you give me the first answer you think of.
Okay,
Ready to go?
perfect.
Coffee or
Yep,
tea?
I'm ready.
Coffee or
I
tea?
actually don't drink either. I'm a water guy.
Oh, dude, fair enough, man. I love what I will admit. I definitely will dabble with the energy drinks sometimes when I'm having those low sleep nights. But yeah, I don't really drink coffee, honestly.
And if I get my choice of a beverage that I'm chasing after, root beer is my absolute favorite. I have unfortunately a lot of a large collection of root beer that I go through.
Um, what about cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs, okay. Um, favorite quote or phrase do you think about often?
Oh, I'm not making this very lightning by trying to remember.
No, it's okay. Take your time. Take your time.
There's one that Jim Carrey shared a few years back, and I'm going to butcher it, but he basically said everyone in the world wants to be famous, but once you get there, you realize how hard it is and how much life sucks, but everyone has to find out for themselves.
Yeah.
So, not that I'm famous by any stretch of the imagination, but I extrapolate that to say, sorry, I know this isn't lightning. I
No, it's okay. It's okay.
extrapolate that to say, like, in our lives, like, don't strive for something that is fleeting that you can never
Yeah.
define. Enjoy the moments and
I love
take
Jim
advantage of
Carrey.
every day.
Yeah, no, that's super good advice. And Jim Carrey is a very smart individual. I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey. So what's your favorite movie?
Probably The Bourne Identity. I think that was my longest favorite movie.
That's a great one. What about your favorite TV show or streaming series?
Um, oh boy. My we just barely watched Man on the Inside on Netflix. It's from Ted Danson. has a lot of the same cast from The Good Place that I also really liked, but there's a lot of heart in that one. My wife and I just watched it and absolutely fell in love with it. Binged the whole first season.
Cool, cool. What are your three favorite hobbies outside of work?
Um, Off-roading is something I really, really love. So here in Utah, like I can go any direction for 40 minutes and end up in sand dunes and cool off-roading things. So on dirt bikes and side-by-sides and go-karts, love that stuff. Um, I also, this is kind of for work, but I love data analysis. And so I get really deep into data, workflows, basic programming, just trying to understand and synthesize data better. So that's a passion. And then I also really like robotics. So things like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. My goal for this next year is I want to run a Christmas light show on my house where someone pulls up and tunes in the radio and like the lights all dance to the music. I'm working on a little project to understand how to do that and then hopefully roll it out to a larger scale.
Dude, that's insane, man. That would be crazy. I'd be losing my mind if I was driving by your house and like the song I'm listening to, it's like, what the what's happening over there, man?
It's so cool. I love every Christmas and during Thanksgiving. Sorry, not Thanksgiving. Halloween. A lot of people in the area will do light shows, and so I love taking the kids to watch them. It's awesome. I want to learn how to do it myself.
That's super awesome. What's one bucket list item you've already accomplished in your life?
Ooh. Jeez. Why can't I think of something here?
Yeah, I know you got something, man.
Yeah. So, on my bucket list, as a kid, there was obviously a lot of travel there, and by virtue of running a company and getting to speak at conferences around the world, I've gotten to travel. So I got to go to Italy. I've been to the UK several times. So I'd say those are one of the bucket list items. Is like I want to travel to places, and
Yeah,
I've gotten to do some of those, but now there's quite a few more I want to do.
for sure. And what's one bucket list item you haven't accomplished yet?
I want to go skydiving. That's big on the list for me.
Dude, that's like the one thing that I'm like, I am petrified of heights. So that one, like, it gives me the jitters just thinking about it, man.
Well, and I feel the same way about bungee jumping. I'm like, I will never go bungee jumping, but for some reason in my mind, skydiving is different. So,
and then what would be one final thought to leave with the audience today? Maybe for someone out there that's listening, that is struggling with marketing and would be interested in, LinkedIn ads. What would you recommend to them?
I think best advice I can give you is get comfortable sharing on video. Like I said, these little short clips are the very best kind of ads that you can run on LinkedIn right now. They give so much value in a short time, and then we can retarget anyone who interacts with and watches a certain percentage of them, making a warmer audience that you can now follow up with a little bit more deeply and get them further down your ad funnel. So that's my best recommendation. Get comfortable on video, because as soon as you do, the world is your oyster. You can create so much awesome content that people love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And AJ, for anyone out there that is, interested in working with you, wants to check out what you're doing, or maybe even just connect and collaborate with you on an entrepreneurial level, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just make sure you customize the connection request message and say you heard me on Riley's show, just so I make sure I catch it. I'm also on at b2linked.com is a really easy way to find anything about what we do. And if you subscribe to the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast, every week we go really deep into some micro aspect of LinkedIn ads, trying to make you a better marketer.
Sweet. Well, guys, I'm going to link all of AJ's stuff in the description, so definitely go check out what they're doing. They're absolutely killing it for their clients. So AJ, thank you so much for coming on today, man. It was a pleasure interviewing you and learning from you.
Awesome, Riley. Thank you so much for the invite. Have me back anytime for a round two.
Absolutely. And you got to have me on yours as well, man.
Totally.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.